Alive, yet sleeping in stasis, concealed in the biomechanical Xeno City, and using the ancient citizens for its hosts, are the massive Xeno Titans, an alien beast with a unique design that has ties to the space jockey of LV-426. In the video game Aliens Dark Descent, the final level takes place underground on the moon of Lethe in the Xeno City, a biomechanical metropolis that grew its own inhabitants, who in concept art are called space jockeys and ancient citizens. When Weyland-Yutani would acquire the moon for mining purposes, they would uncover the city, though its citizens by that time were all long dead, with their skeletons found throughout the area, still attached to various walls and pillars. By the looks of things, their ending was abrupt, and there is evidence of a xenomorph outbreak, with a number of skeletons suffering alien-type exit wounds to their rib cages. The resulting alien, the Titans, are enormous, standing above a queen at around 22 feet tall. Richard Masa is an animation director, multimedia artist, and creature designer who worked on the game, and his Artstation pages are full of his brilliant 3D concept sculpts and charcoal drawings detailing the evolution of the Titan, where it originally had a skull much like the drones, which would be replaced with a crest that more resembles the more ornate crowns of the Praetorians and the Queens. The example encountered here was in what Richard calls its nest, a hollowed out section below the remains of an ancient citizen, the entrance of which was cleverly concealed as the hole was perfectly fit for the Titan's crest. Richard has even included an illustration with notes showing the inspirations behind the Xeno Titan. First up is the Tequila Worm, a creation for Poltergeist 2 done by H.R. Giger, designer of the biomechanical aspects of the Alien universe. At this stage, the creature had no real legs, and instead had two small tentacles coming off of the torso where each leg would be. Those tentacles, or appendages on the worm, also called the vomit monster, could be referencing the small claws that help the Titan move around in place of legs. I'd also note that the skeleton-like design of the vomit monster's included image is also similar to the look of the Titan's rear at the base and tail. Fan theories have circulated for decades that the space jockey could be without legs, as even Giger was quoted as saying, "The pilot is biomechanical to the extent that it looks as if he has physically grown into his seat, or maybe has grown out of the seat, giving the possibility of a legless jockey, or as their race is called in the expanded universe, the Malakak." In the next inspiration, we see that the face of the Titan is taken directly from the space jockey, where Richard saw the pilot and the citizens as having no lower jaw, making it absent on the Titan. The massive aliens would also have a distinctive hand design, with long claws, referred to as sloth claws, for climbing, that additionally may have helped them in digging out nests in the hard biomechanical environment. The final inspiration shown is a cat's claw pointing to what Richard notes is an extended tongue for increased reach, and a cat claw-like appendage for a lethal embrace, though I can't help but wonder if it's also a nod to H.R. Giger's unused alien runner for Alien 3, a sleek and deadly hunter with soft lips and deadly cat-like claws. When awoken by the unsuspecting team, the Xeno Titan would strike from the shadows where it would grab one of the soldiers in its mighty jaw, both crushing and impaling them. Now fully risen, the monster Xenomorph was unfazed by pulse rifle fire, as it swatted a Marine aside like he was a bug. With only small claws for legs, it would drag itself along with its arms, yet it was surprisingly mobile, nearly keeping up with the group on foot, while making its own shortcuts by bashing through parts of the city, and eventually cutting them off by using a lower level. With the alien blocking their way out, Jonas Harper would use his psychic abilities, perhaps combined along with his daughter's own capabilities, to crunch back the teeth on the Titan's jaw, resulting in obvious pain, causing it to recoil, which allowed the team to escape. However, he did this at a high cost, as he died shortly thereafter, with his effort only stunning the Titan momentarily. The fate of the Xeno Titan, however, is unknown, though it was likely destroyed when the site was bombarded with nuclear weapons to contain the outbreak. According to the codex on the Xeno Titan, the city ultimately succumbed to an infestation of xenomorphs, which eventually adapted to the ancient citizens' formidable morphology. Those who are curious as to the reason for this believe that the ancient citizens originally bred the creatures on Lethe, or that their moon perhaps fell victim to a rival species. So in their travels, like the original backstory for the space jockey, the ancients found xenomorph ovomorphs and gathered them up for study, which led to the outbreak. Or perhaps, as I speculated in my video on the Xeno City, the city itself may have created the ovomorphs, with or without the help of the ancient citizens, showing another possible link between the aliens and the city, beyond their biomechanical nature, and Giger-influenced designs. This could even explain how in the 3D renderings and concept art, we see that the Titans are connected to the city while in their nest by what Richard Masa calls umbilical cord-like pipes. The reasoning for the connections are not explained, but the pipes make me wonder if the alien is drawing energy from the city in a symbiotic process. Or perhaps the alien is more like a parasite and is stealing resources from the living city. Or maybe it's doing this to tap into the city and be aware of its territory, like a spider on a web or a queen as she is suspended and connected to her hive. As for the belief that the moon could have fallen victim to a rival species, if they aren't referring to the Xenomorphs as the rivals, then maybe they are referring to the engineers. The original scriptwriter for Prometheus, John Spates, said that the original ideas for a prequel trilogy included differing factions that existed within the engineers, both good and evil angels. So it's also possible that the ancient citizens are a group or faction of the Malakak, and they are the ones responsible for the outbreak. Either way, the Xeno Titan is not the first of the space jockey xenomorphs. There have been others in the expanded universe, like the example from the Dark Horse comic, Aliens Apocalypse, the Destroying Angels, and the one from the Aliens Infestation video game. And even though it was unused in the main canon, the Ultramorph was a concept of a space jockey alien hybrid that was intended for Prometheus that would eventually change to become an engineer-hosted deacon. For more on the ancient citizens that host these Xeno Titans, or about the Xeno City where it all takes place, continue on to one of these videos.